Today's episode is brought to you by Positively Productive Systems, whose mission is to be the antidote to your stress and to provide compassionate productivity resources and coaching that help you heal and achieve. Be sure to check out both free and paid resources at positivelyproductive.com/resources.
We are exposed to, think about how many products the average woman uses. Probably around 12 products a day. Then each product has dozens of ingredients, and many of those ingredients are in fact toxic. So we're really being bombarded. And then that's just the products. What about the stuff you're using in your home, or the things that are off-gassing, or stuff outside your home? And really, inside your home, the indoor environment is up to 10 times more polluted than the outdoor environment. And yeah, the EPA ranks indoor environment like a health risk. And so we have a lot of toxins in our home, and they contribute to toxic load. And it's happening on a cellular level, and it's bioaccumulative. So your body, it kind of accumulates in your body, and your body just goes, I don't know what to do with all of this. Our natural detox system can only do so much. So that's why it turns into disease. The thing that's confusing is it's not just like, oh, I'm going to use this eye cream and get cancer next week. It's a cumulative effect of what you're using over time.
You're listening to the Positively Living podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Zaratny, founder of Positively Productive Systems and a coach certified in time and stress management, helping clients make space for what matters most in their lives. Join me each episode and we'll talk about decluttering, stress management, habits, personalized productivity, gratitude, and so much more. I understand the overwhelm of life because I'm a wife, mom to kids and cats, and a former caregiver. I'm here to help you choose what's right for you so you can do less, live more, and breathe easier. Sound good? Let's get to it. Eco-friendly, green, clean. I bet you've seen these descriptors on everything from cleaners to concealers. And maybe you've even been drawn to them because of those titles. But what do they mean and why do we care? This topic is gaining in interest and confusion. Today, I welcome Kelly Bonanno to the Positively Living podcast to help us make sense of it all. Let's find out why we want to reduce toxins and how to do it without making ourselves crazy. Kelly Bonanno is an eco-lifestyle and wellness coach, mom to 2 teenage boys, environmental advocate, and host of the Clean Beauty Scene podcast, with over a decade as an eco-wellness educator, helping busy moms reduce toxic load, go green, and break free from dieting without counting calories or giving up wine, chocolate, and fun. She also helps businesses reduce sick days and burnout while increasing productivity, focus, and morale with her innovative eco-wellness programs and workshops. Kelly and I have known each other for years and have appreciated each other's approach to living well. Even though we come at it from different places, the values are similar. Whatever we can do to reduce stress and to simplify our approach to living well, we support. I joined her on her Clean Beauty Scene podcast to talk decluttering and stress reduction, and now I welcome her here today to bring her decade of experience in eco-living and her anti-perfectionist perspective on it. I've been exploring a cleaner, could you hear the air quotes there, lifestyle for many years, and I share my perspectives on coconut oil as an example in our conversation. In a chat Kelly and I had a while back, she told me her son said he was glad she wasn't eco-freako, and that made me snort laugh. I appreciate that about her too. This whole approach is a process. It's all about baby steps and encouragement and doing what you're able to do. This is Habit Building 101, so you might want to catch episode 15 as a refresher. Take heart, because we made it as simple as possible, talking about the top 5 products you can swap out in your home to make the biggest impact right now, and also some key toxins to be on the lookout for as you select your replacements. And remember, even if you pick one of those things today, it will make a huge difference, and it will start building that habit. One final thought. In our chat today, it gets a bit heavy on why it's so important we reduce toxins in our lives and how many companies do something called greenwashing, where they make unregulated and unsubstantiated claims to encourage consumers to buy their products. I encourage you to do your own research. But the key takeaway is that we have so much more control over our own health and wellness than we realize, and even the smallest steps do make a difference. Welcome, Kelly Bonanno, to the Positively Living Podcast. I am so happy you're finally here with me to talk because we've, been connected and supporting each other for years now and are really so on the same wavelength about simplicity in life, right?
100%. Absolutely. And I always love chatting. I feel like I'm not doing a podcast interview. I'm just chatting with a girlfriend.
Exactly. It's like Kelly and I are chatting today and you get to listen.
It's like, oh yeah, we're also recording. Okay.
Yeah. But that's the best part of this is that what we're going to be talking about today is going to be made so simple. And that's what I'm most excited for because I think there are so many things that we approach in life and the whole eco, clean, green kind of approach to life can feel so complicated. We're going to demystify it all today.
That's right.
But let's start, please, by you sharing a bit about who you are, who you help, and what lights you up.
Well, I am Kelly Bonanno, and I'm an eco lifestyle and wellness coach. And the reason I'm so passionate about it is two things, because eco living, clean beauty, sustainable living is so important and really crucial for the environment and the planet, but it also is important and crucial for us and our life and our livelihood and our well-being, our health, our looks, everything. And so it just goes hand in hand. It's like what's good for the planet is going to be good for you in most cases. So it's kind of like you're taking care of yourself in the right way, in the eco way, you're doing a good thing for the planet too. And I have two boys, two teenage boys, and they're my why. It kind of started with them. And when I started learning about how toxic the plastics are and how toxic our environment is, and then when I really started diving in and realizing, wait a minute, these toxic ingredients are not, they're also in the products that are going on his skin and their skin and my skin. And so this was, gosh, so my oldest is 18, my youngest is 15. So this is a long time ago. And it really, really started when I was pregnant with my youngest. So it's been well over a decade, but it was kind of a slow evolution. And then I, started writing about it and then really educating on it. Then it kind of evolved into coaching because it was like I couldn't unlearn it. I couldn't not share this. And especially like you had mentioned, it can be overwhelming and confusing and like, well, where do I start? And then, so I thought I got to help people do it a little more simplistically. And then it goes hand in hand with our health and helping my primary. I love helping women, Gen X women like us, just live their healthiest life and become the best versions of themselves. So yes, that means getting down to a weight that you're comfortable with. And comfortable is the key word here. We're not talking about weirdo skinny or just comfortable. And, one person's 20 pounds is another person's after. It's about being comfortable and liking the way you fit in your clothes. I hear so many women when they come to me, it's like, I just want to fit back into my favorite clothes. And I'm like, yeah. And maybe look good in a bikini, maybe, feel good when I'm being intimate with my husband, like those kind of things, and not have to stress about, I should eat that, I shouldn't eat that. And oh God, that's going to go straight to my hips. So just putting, balancing nutrition in a way that gets your body working optimally. So it's burning fat for fuel, but also like my motto is without giving up chocolate and wine and having fun and not restricting. Because when you restrict, then it's hard to make it a long-term lifestyle. So little habits and eating plan. I don't call it a diet. Diets don't work. If they worked, the diet industry wouldn't be the gazillion-dollar industry that it is. And then where toxins come in is on the health, but also, and we'll probably get into this, is the obesogenic toxins mess with your metabolism. So it's not just about what we're eating. It's also about what we're putting on our skin for health, but also weight. They mess with your fat stores. They can increase the size and number of fat stores. And who wants that? It's like, okay, it's hard enough to try to figure out how to eat healthy. Then my body lotion is now making me fat. Wait, how does that work?
There's so much to unpack with all this. And you're absolutely right. We want to live well. And of course, that's something that I think we figure out for ourselves because your ruler is different from mine. But given that there are some things out there that I kind of see as sort of lifestyle saboteurs, if you will, right? The things that are attacking us that we don't need to accept. And so that's, I think, a big part of what you do. But let's back up a little bit. If you would share a bit about what you discovered, what is this toxic load that we're dealing with, and what's happening? What is it that you discovered?
So we are exposed to, I mean, think about how many products the average woman uses, probably around 12 products a day. Then each product has dozens of ingredients, and many of those ingredients are in fact toxic. So we're really being bombarded. And then that's just the products. What about the stuff you're using in your home, or the things that are off gassing, or stuff outside your home? And really, inside your home, the indoor environment is up to 10 times more polluted than the outdoor environment. And so, yeah, the EPA ranks indoor environment like a health risk. And so we have a lot of toxins in our home, and they contribute to toxic load. And it's happening on a cellular level, and it's bioaccumulative. So your body, it kind of accumulates in your body, and your body just goes, I don't know what to do with all of this. Our natural detox system can only do so much. So that's why it turns into disease, cancer, autoimmune, just different kinds of conditions. And because some of these toxins are carcinogenic, they can lead to cancer. The thing that's confusing is it's not just like, oh, I'm going to use this eye cream and get cancer next week. It's cumulative effect of what you're using over time from when we were little. I mean, so I have Hashimoto's, which is the autoimmune disease of thyroid. And I'm convinced it's from years of toxic load that I mean, I didn't know any of this until for most of my life. And there have been so many more like chemicals brought into commerce since the Industrial Revolution, but even more being in use since the 80s, since we were in high school. So we're just being bombarded. And the big problem that makes it super confusing too is, and some of your listeners might be thinking, well, I'm using some clean products. I think I'm doing well, but there's greenwashing. So there's no regulation. And this is where it gets confusing. The FDA can't recall stuff. The FDA can't say, oh, you can't use those carcinogens and endocrine disruptors. So they can't, they put these ingredients in the formulations, but there's no regulation saying that they can't lie about it. So they can say that they're natural, pure, clean, have the pretty botanical, packaging, when in fact, if you know your ingredients, you'll think, okay, well, maybe they don't have any parabens or sulfates, but what about these 7 things that are completely toxic? And this is why it's a big problem. And a lot of customers will, clients will come to me and think, oh, I'm using clean products. But then when we go through it, it's like, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you're being greenwashed. Like, these are not clean products. Now, a company can't say they're certified organic. Certain certifications are, not able to be used. But the problem is, of all these chemicals and ingredients, the US only bans 19. So it's not even illegal to use. So this toxic load just compounds and can result into all of these, autoimmune. And so the endocrine system, obviously, is, the network of glands secreting hormones, really is responsible for the functioning of most processes. So your reproductive, adrenals, thyroid, neurological. So it's kind of, I say, like, it's rough, almost like Russian roulette. It's like a pinball machine. Like, these ingredients are going to go into your body, and then who knows what it's going to attack. Is it going to attack my thyroid? Is it going to attack my, my metabolism? Or is it going to attack a lot of different things? Infertility is on the rise. A lot of fertility doctors will recommend, I think most nowadays will recommend their clients choose less toxic products and reduce toxic load. Autism was on the rise hugely since the 90s, neurological issues, and there's a correlation. And then cancer, only 10% of cancers are even genetic. So it's coming from what we're eating, breathing, our lifestyle, and of course, what we're putting on our skin. So that's why it's such a big issue, but it's also very preventable. I mean, when you reduce toxic load, it really does help your health. And it's not as hard as people think. There's many studies done, but like one was done in Berkeley, and they tested the blood of some teenagers. And for 3 days, just 3 days, they put them on clean beauty and personal care products, and their toxicity levels dropped dramatically. That's why I'm such a proponent of, let's not put those toxins on your skin. Your skin absorbs. Your skin is like a sponge, and it's your biggest organ. So now, not every single molecule will get through, but a lot of it does. And it goes to your bloodstream. It goes to your organs. So why not give yourself a leg up by using cleaner products? And the beauty of it is, it's so much better than even like 5 or 7 years ago. There's a lot of clean products on the market now. Many, I mean, I have vetted and researched many, so I have lots of recommendations to make it a little easier to make the transition.
That was definitely one of my questions, was if you are seeing like a difference in awareness now, like the fact that you're saying that there are doctors who are making these recommendations. And, of course, whenever something is popular in any way, whenever I guess the consumers want something, companies will respond, which unfortunately also means this greenwashing that you're saying. But also on the other positive side of it, are you seeing more companies stepping up and truly offering really viable, truly clean products for us to use?
Definitely. There's been many more on the market in the last several years and few years. And so that's wonderful. And it's interesting. Many of these clean companies are started by a lot of them by women who have had health issues, cancer or other health issues, and they connected the dots. They realized the toxins have to have some kind of something to do with this. And, breast cancer, 2/3 of breast cancer is estrogen receptor positive. The endocrine disruptors mimic estrogen. So this is very important when it comes to breast cancer as well, all cancers. One thing that you'll see is the big companies, they'll come out. In fact, I just saw a commercial a couple weeks ago. This was like, I'm not going to call them out, but this actually was my favorite toxic mascara before I transitioned. And there's this influencer or model, I don't know who she is, and she's like, "Oh, clean green mascara. It's great. It's got a green tube and it's completely clean and it's wonderful." And I'm like, "Whoa, this company's coming out." And of course, I immediately go look at the ingredients. No, it's full of toxins. So maybe they took out a few. So that's the problem with some of these big companies is they'll take out a couple toxins and then call it green, and it's not. These companies are lobbying against regulation. A lot of people are like, "I just want the laws to be, protect me." They're not going to. And even if miraculously do put some safety measures in place, think about all the stuff that the FDA does allow. They're going to allow a lot of junk anyway, so it's not really going to protect you that much anyway. So because in Europe they ban over 1,300 chemicals or toxins. They still allow some, so it's not like a European brand is going to be completely clean, guaranteed, but certainly cleaner. And in a lot of places, very clean. I mean, completely clean. It just depends. It's really not about being organic. It's just about having clean ingredients, just not having toxins.
And that's really the thing. And this fits so well. And you and I have talked about this before into this concept of decluttering. It's like adding stuff that you don't even need in the first place. That's not adding to the efficacy in any way. It just happens to be there. And it's like, if it's not serving you, declutter it. So that's kind of what we're talking
Yeah,
about
yeah.
here. Now, in the simplest terms, of course, you talked about things we put on our skin. So we have, our makeup, our lotions, especially. Of course, one of the easiest things that I think of when we're like, how can we be a bit cleaner, a bit simpler in terms of how we're literally cleaning our cleaners. Are there other things that we're not thinking of that also can challenge us in terms of toxins?
Oh, definitely. So candles, paraffin wax emit toxins. Oftentimes wicks will have lead. So when you're burning a toxic candle, you're putting that out into the atmosphere of your home. So there are clean candle options, which is nice. So yeah, little things like that. And even like shower curtains, they've got the PVC, that vinyl is very toxic. But of course there's, cleaner versions of shower curtains now. And cookware, the PFOA and that nonstick stuff, very toxic. It emits when you're cooking out into the atmosphere, but also it's leaching into your food. I mean, you're eating that stuff, and there's not lots of good clean non-toxic pans nowadays too. It's kind of hit and miss. Some of them work better than others, but
But it's something to consider. Like one of my favorite pots that I work with is a Le Creuset, and it's enameled cast iron. And it was definitely an investment, but it's phenomenal.
yeah, and they can be an investment. I mean, like the green pan's not too bad, but yes, enamel's great, but they last. It's an investment in your health. I mean, that's the thing people have to realize. You're going to pay for your health one way or the other. You may as well pay for healthy living rather than doctor bills down the line.
Yeah, I'm making a note of that. That feels like something that we need to tweet. But okay, so at this point, we're talking about all of these different things. Our makeup, our lotions, our cleaners, our cookware, our shower curtains. I'm going to just sit inside under a blanket. What
I
do
know,
I
right?
do, Kelly? Okay, first of all, everyone, nice big deep breath. Even if the environment isn't clean in your home, still take a deep breath with me, okay? Like you said, it's prevalent, but it's also easily fixed, right?
Yes. And one thing I also say is, yeah, one step at a time and don't stress about it. Stress is the primary cause of all disease and aging. And stress is actually considered a toxin from environmental science. So stressing, and that's what I try, like, let's not stress about it. I know it's something I'm making people worry about it, which is stressful, but the good news is you can do something about it. And every step really does count. Every step does make a difference for the environment, for your life, and just do what's comfortable. You can do it one product at a time, one thing at a time. I didn't do this overnight, yeah, by any means. And mine was a ton of trial and error. I mean, you can learn from all of my trial and error and mistakes and research. It was an evolution. So it can be done faster than I did it, certainly, but it doesn't have to be a major overhaul. And also, it's individual. It's like with food, it's all individual, and you have to do what you're comfortable with. And it's not an all or nothing situation. Everyone, I call it like varying shades of green. Some people want to go super plant based and pure, and then others are like, you know what? I like my toxic eye cream. It's like, okay. And then the other thing is maybe switch over some of the things that are going to have more of an impact. Okay, eye cream's not going on a big part of your body, but your body lotion is. Even though shampoo's only on you, for a few minutes, your scalp absorbs more. Plus, your hair looks so much better without toxins.
Well, there you go. And that's a bonus. But what I like what you're getting into with this is, first of all, we're talking about habits, right? We're talking about changing one product at a time, one step at a time. We're talking about personal preference. It's like, pry my mascara out of my hands, just go ahead and try it. It's not going to happen. But at the same time, I changed to coconut oil a long time ago for my skin, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it was just such an easy thing. I was into coconut oil before it was like popular.
Yes, me too.
If
Yeah.
you watch My Big Fat Greek Wedding and he talks about Windex all the time, that's like me with coconut oil. Oh, I'm having this issue. Did you try coconut oil? But what you're talking about too, in terms of what we can go ahead and try, is taking that 80-20 approach, the Pareto principle, right? 80% of our results, 80% of the effects that we want to get can be 20% of our input, our attempts, our steps. So I love that you said lotion and shampoo are a great example of an 80-20. If you just try those. Any other big ones?
The products in your home, because that's big. And also that's easier. It's much easier to part with your 409 than your favorite mascara. Let's make it.
I like that. I like that. My 409 doesn't make me look better. Okay.
No, exactly. Not even. And it's interesting you say that. I've been talking about the 80-20 rule for years, but I have a little tweak on it. It's like if 80% of the time you're doing the healthy quote unquote things, and you're eating right and you're moving your body and you're using clean, then you got some wiggle room. The 20% that you're not doing so healthy, that's okay. It's not going to impact you so much if you're doing most
Exactly.
of
That's a different kind of 80-20, the don't be perfect 80-20. And that absolutely applies here too. We're not looking for perfectionism. We are not looking to freak out because there's so much there. It's more about being aware and understanding that a few minor tweaks can make a huge deal. I love this thing about the 3-day study that you talked about, and the idea that in just 3 days, making some of those shifts could make such a huge difference.
Isn't it amazing?
That's so encouraging.
Now, there are toxins that get into those bioaccumulative that get into your fat stores, and some do stick around for a long time, but not all of them. And it's like, get rid of what you can. And one thing, that's why, deodorant's a big one. That's one of the big questions I get. Deodorant and sunscreen. Most people know that deodorant and sunscreen are pretty toxic. Antiperspirant is really not good. I mean, leads to Alzheimer's and all kinds of things, but you don't want to be stopping up that, your sweat production. There's no such thing as a clean antiperspirant. It's a clean deodorant. Antiperspirant is something that really, I think if people start with deodorant, that's a good step.
That's fantastic. So I just made some notes here that we're talking about lotion, shampoo, your cleaning products, deodorant, and sunscreen. That's 5 right there that you could just pick one and play with it. So now, what do we do next? Are there maybe like a list of top 3 ingredients that we just want to keep an eye out for, that we like, okay, I'm going the other direction if I see that ingredient? or some resources aside from you, obviously, that we could look at to kind of do some comparison?
Yes, definitely. So one ingredient, this is like the top ingredient, is synthetic fragrance. It is in most things. I always say if you stay away from synthetic fragrance, you're going to be going very clean and green. The FDA considers fragrance a trade secret. So they don't force companies to disclose what is in that one ingredient. So, and I'm not talking about perfume per se, although those are usually toxic too, but just fragrance as an ingredient in anything, any product. So they can hide hundreds of toxins in there, including the phthalates and BPA. And so it's kind of a catch-all. But then again, if you're going to get rid of all products with synthetic fragrance, that is a little bit of a major overhaul, but it's a good thing to know about. So phthalates are linked to just everything, cancer and, autism, and very toxic. So phthalates are something to definitely stay away from. And of course, BPA, I think most people know because it's like BPA free bottles, BPA free. And that's really important, but it's more than just that. And then another one that people don't even realize that maybe are in some of their products is formaldehyde. I mean, formaldehyde is like they embalm dead bodies with that. I really like, let's keep that away from me until I'm not in this form anymore, till I'm just a spirit. I mean, that's just kind of gross. And the nice thing about the deodorants is, I mean, I remember even before I got clean and eco back in the 90s, I remember trying to like, I knew about it. I knew about the antiperspirant. So I was trying crystal deodorant and it didn't work. But now there's so many deodorants that actually do work because for many years it was like, well, they'd work for a few hours, but it's like, who wants to have BO by 3 p.m.? You need something that works all day and all night. And it takes a little trial and error. Not everyone works for, each person, but and of course I do have resources on my list. I mean, on my website, I've kind of vetted and researched lots. And then the guide that the toolkit that people can download too. It's kind of your clean beauty and improve your metabolism toolkit. And in that is like a little bonus top 12 toxins to avoid.
Great.
And so they can that's a really good resource because they can kind of use that as a guide and match up. That makes it much easier.
Good. Okay. So on your website and with the toolkit, there's some things that you have vetted. And if they're just out and about, researching stuff, if they're on the interwebs, if they've gone down the rabbit hole on their own, what would you guide them in terms of the types of websites or places or the one resource, that you would say, trust them, everybody else, maybe.
Yeah. There's a couple of good ones now. Credo Beauty, they have all clean. I always say it's kind of like a clean Sephora. And the nice thing is Sephora now has clean at Sephora. Even some of these big, I mean, they're realizing. So that's a good thing. And Folane is a good resource as well, Safe and Chic. And I do have links to those on my site to make it easy. And there's links to in the toolkit. The toolkit is designed to help people, easily kind of clean up their beauty routine, but also improve their metabolism because it tells how to avoid and recognize the obesogenic toxins to get those out of your life. So those are not, adding to your hips,
Right.
hips and stomach,
Now that we have like a set of different kinds of products, like a really easy, sort of top 5 products that we could just start with, and we have, a few different types of chemicals, toxins that we can watch for and be careful of. And we move forward and find some reputable resources to get these different kinds of beauty products and cleaners and things like that. In addition to, and you did allude to this in the beginning, when we're doing something better for ourselves, what are the benefits? And I would say, yes, it benefits, like off the top of my head, I'm thinking that it reducing the toxins on my skin is also going to reduce it in my environment, in my home, and for my children, right?
Oh yeah.
And what are the other benefits that we can see? And also, are these clean beauty products, for example, really good? I mean, do they do a good job? That's what I want to know too.
That is an important question. Now there definitely are clean products that, yeah, because that's the thing is if you're going to, let's be honest, for those of us over 40, over 50, we want products that will deliver and be effective because clean is great, and I get it. And, no judgment on fillers, Botox, whatever. I haven't gone down that road yet. Of course, that's really toxic. So I'm, trying to avoid it. But look, we want to look good. And, if you're going to do a few things that aren't so clean, do mostly the other things that are clean, and then it kind of will balance out. But yes, now there's effective. The other thing is, get your advice from people who, I mean, if you are over 40, if you're Gen Xer or a baby boomer, and you want products that are effective, sometimes I'll see on Instagram or wherever in the green beauty bloggers, they'll say, oh, this is such a great peel, or this is such a great exfoliator, this is such a great serum. Oh my gosh, my skin's glowing. And it's like, you're 30 years old. Your skin's going to glow no matter what you put on it. Like, I don't care. Show me a 45-year-old who's saying, wow, my skin is glowing. Do you know what I mean? No offense to the 30-year-olds, but that does me no good. If you're going to say a product is great, you don't need anti-aging. Now, if it's maybe acne or that kind of thing that can happen at any age, different story. But yeah, you want women like me who are testing them out and saying, okay, this is really softening my lines.
So one, I would say almost like last or rounding out point for this that I've been thinking about, and I would love your take on it, is at least in terms of the experience that I've had in going more green and clean, is that it definitely simplifies how we approach things, right? So now we're leaning into that productivity side of things. Yay, my favorite place to be, right? So, what has been your experience, your client's experience in terms of, I guess, overall, how it simplifies and boosts our productivity? What have you seen?
Well, with skincare, I'm a believer that less is more. You don't need a zillion, I mean, a zillion lotions and potions. Of course, we women, we love those. But, find a few good ones that work, a little step, and then it's just not a big deal. A good vitamin C serum, a good nighttime serum, and a good SPF during the day, good moisturizer, exfoliate, little few things. Keep it simple, because your skin, you don't want to overload. And then the other thing that I find, and a few estheticians I've talked to say this too, is to switch it up. So you can try different products, not use the same exact things, but then maybe in a few months, try something else, kind of switch it up so your skin doesn't get accustomed to certain things. But then you're not using all of the things. You're just using, maybe a different set. Less is more. Really, less is more with skincare. And even in your home, some of these clean green things, you don't need 8,000 different things to be cleaning your home. There's a couple of good surface cleaners, bathroom cleaner, and you're good to go. Like you had mentioned with regard to the environment, what you're doing in your home is going back out into the environment, harming marine life and wildlife. It's going out and it's ending back up on your plates. They say by, I forget what year, like 2027, maybe, I don't know, I got the year wrong. There's going to be like more plastic in the ocean than fish. And the fish that we're eating, they're eating these plastic bits. That plastic is ending up in our systems, literally, when we're eating, marine life and whatnot. And so it's just this sort of like catch 22. It's like this circle of life. It keeps going. So, and it really, really harms the marine life and wildlife. And the other thing I say is, a lot of people are up in arms about climate change and sort of controversial opinions about climate change. It's, there's certain things that are really serious, but there's certain things that people are blowing out of proportion. But the truth is, some of these people that are really concerned and making a big deal and politicizing it, they're doing stuff in their home that's contributing. I mean, it's like they're complaining and they're part of a huge problem. So if you're not doing certain things in your home, you can't complain about climate change because you're contributing. So if you really care about climate change, you got to look in the mirror and make some changes in your own home for sure.
And the flip side of that right there is that when we are concerned about what's going on outside, the best place to start is inside. That's whether it's inside our homes, that's whether it's inside ourselves. And the encouragement here stays the same. When we talk about the circle of life, when we talk about what comes around goes around, well, then that also can encourage you to take steps today. One simple thing like, I'm going to switch out my lotion. And it's so easy for us when we create new habits, when we try out new things to think, what difference is that going to make? But we each stepped out today and said, I'm making one change. Imagine the impact it would have for all of us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And less stuff is very eco, but it's also simplistic. Like you say, simplicity, it really goes hand in hand. And less stuff, as we've talked about before, clutter is unhealthy for your mind too. Too much stuff in your house, whether it's tchotchkes, skincare, household cleaning things. It just less is it's just freeing. It's like it's a weight off your shoulders.
Yeah, it's easier. And don't we want that? I mean, and it's very rare we can say easier. Sometimes we can say simpler. It
Yeah.
doesn't always make it easier. But in this case, it's absolutely that. So imagine looking good, feeling good, getting to that point faster, and making an impact in the world.
Yeah. And also being realistic about it. The other thing with skincare and efficacy is there's no miracle in a bottle, whether it's toxic or not. Skincare can only do so much. Now, can it do a lot? Yes, but it's not going to transform. It's not going to take 10 years off. So be careful about marketing and just stick with products that are work for your skin, depending, it really depends on your skin type too. And then yes, just keep it simple. And if you really want effective things, you want to look into there's so many great at-home gadgets. So you don't have to go to the invasive toxic stuff, gua sha, microcurrent, radio frequency, just so many things you can be doing for your skin and your beauty that are non-invasive but move the needle. Now it takes consistency. At-home things are not going to be as effective as in salon, but just being more realistic about it because some people, I think women, they're just like chasing the fountain of youth in a bottle. Like, I want that serum, I want that thing. It's just you can't expect too much from your skincare, whether it's toxic or not.
Well, and this is where the balance comes in of what we talk about on the Positively Living podcast, what you and I have talked about before, is when you pull these things together. For example, what you were able to help us with in thinking differently, but very simply about new, cleaner, and smaller amounts of these beauty products. Then also matching that with celebrating ourselves and having a different perspective on who we are, what beauty means, and then reducing our stress, which you mentioned before, big topic, big fan of the topic, because the more that we're able to do that and say, it's going to be okay, we're all right, what can help us calm and just feel like we can be well when we combine all these things, one little step at a time in each of these places, the cumulative impact is huge.
It really, really is. And when you're going in that philosophy that less is more and not expecting too much of your skincare and of your products, then you get more. You automatically simplify because you're not like, well, I need to try this eye cream, I need to try this serum, and then you've got clutter. I mean, how many women, how many of us have a ton of stuff?
Yeah, I'm raising my hand. I have done this. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. But yes, and that was the key right there. Sorry, that we are not using it. And so then what happens? It gets in our way, but we're not actually using it.
Yeah.
You're right. When you're right, Kelly. All right. Any words of wisdom you want to leave us with before we wrap up?
I think that the biggest thing I want to impress upon people is that you have so much more control of your health and longevity than you can imagine. Really, only 25% is due to genetics. And this is your health, your inside, but also the way you look, the way we're aging. And inflammation causes premature aging, disease, and stress is the primary cause. So, really, lifestyle is going to mitigate the premature aging, the inflammation to a huge degree. One step at a time, one small habit until things become natural.
Exactly. It just becomes part of what you do. I love that. All right. Are you ready to have some fun with a rapid wrap up with me?
Always.
Yeah. Okay. Please fill in the blank. The song that always makes me dance is
Man, I feel like a woman.
little Shania time. I love it. Oh, good. Shania's getting some airplay now on my Spotify Positively Living Podcast playlist, Volume 2. It'll go on there.
Good.
Okay. How about the quote or mantra I share all the time is
Wow, this one is one that helped me, and I wish I realized it much sooner. But our lessons in life come as they should. Is you become your thoughts, and I mean, I'm really still working on that.
so true. How about the resource book or app that makes my life easier?
Oh, wow. Gosh, you know what I love? I'm just absolutely in love with Canva these days.
It's so true. It can make a beautiful collage of your family stuff. It can be excellent for business. It's very intuitive, very easy to use.
Yes. I mean, I turn to it for everything, absolutely everything. And in fact, a little side business that I'm incorporating is, I mean, I just love creating. It speaks to that creative side. And even my son was like, wow, mom, you're getting good at this. Like, and I'm just like, and I'm no graphic designer by any means, but it's just, you can create so many beautiful things. I like to create like workbooks and planners and journals to accompany things for my clients, but I'm starting to, in fact, it's something that I'm starting really, this is a recent thing, creating some, and I'm going to have them on Amazon because I'm a real planner person and journals and I just love that kind of thing. So I'm excited about creating those.
Oh, I love that. You're right. That does speak to your creative side. And it's so important that we feed these different sides of ourselves and that's a different kind of nourishment. And that's another way to really look good because you feel good and you're doing things that bring you joy. Ooh, here's another Canva tip. You can do mini digital vision boards very easily in Canva as well. I highly
Yes.
recommend that. That's something that I bring up in my vision board workshops. And it's super fun, super easy. You can have a single subject vision board done in minutes based on the wonderful templates they have. So great suggestion.
Yeah, I'm creating one and I want it to be my desktop.
Yeah, exactly. And then you see it all the time and it just changes your energy. Okay. And last but definitely not least, what or whom are you grateful for today, Kelly?
My kids, always grateful for my kids and that they're healthy and thriving and funny and sweet.
Well, I am grateful for you and that you joined us here today. Where can we keep in touch? Find your toolkit? Where can we find you online?
So kellybonanno.com is my site. And I'm pretty much Kelly Bonanno everywhere, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Instagram, and it's Bonanno. It's a tough one to spell, but it'll be in the show notes, of course. And,
Yes,
and then on Facebook, I'm actually Savvy Girls Organic World with Kelly Bonanno. And then that's my Facebook group, Savvy Girls Organic World, where, we talk about all things clean beauty, eco, wellness, intermittent fasting. That's a big part of how I help women too. And it's just a nice group of like-minded women. And then my podcast, Clean Beauty Scene, that's really the best place to probably find me because then I've got it all there. We talk about, you were on my podcast.
episode 35. I will definitely have a link to that specific episode as well, because it's a good match to what we're talking about today in terms of decluttering and just, releasing this pressure from our minds, especially. So
Yes,
absolutely.
yes. And then yes, the toolkit to clean your beauty routine, and improve your metabolism. That's a good resource for people who want to kind of do this. Go down this rabbit hole without it being a rabbit hole.
Yeah, exactly. Let's make it a small rabbit hole. So on your website, right? We can find that.
Yes. And you can put that in the show notes to make it easier too. But yeah.
Sounds good. I will put all of that in the show notes. And I want to thank you so much, Kelly. Thank you for shining your light in this world and for sharing it with us today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It was so fun.
Thank you for joining me today. Your time is precious and limited, and I'm honored you chose to spend it with me. If you have feedback, questions, or want to schedule a chat, head to positivelyproductive.com/connect. And if you are looking for any of the resources referenced on the podcast, from books to products to training and more, go to positivelyproductive.com/resources.